Oh, there was some amount of football on this weekend.
Unreal.
No better place to start than in the Mayo Championship. There's a bit of crack going on here, but I'll just go through some of the results before getting to the crack. So Ballintubber beat Belmullet. Brafey lost to Ballina. Stephenites. Castlebar beat Knockmore. Balladreen and Andy Moran scoring a goal here beat Davits. Then relegation, Clare Morris hammered Hollymount Carramore, and Westport beat the heads of Behola Moy Davits. But the big one has to be Brafey losing to Ballina Stephenites. So Brafey will be, Aidan O'Shea, Matthew Ruan, Seamie O'Shea, Rob Hennelly losing to Ballina, who wouldn't have been fancied, I think. And they've David Clark, Ger Cafferkey, who I think had to go off injured at one
Just
point.
retired, isn't he?
Yeah, from Mayo, yeah. Mikey Murray, Evan Regan, Kieran Tracy, I think they kind of stepped up, were big in this. But yeah, the interesting thing it was on Twitter later on. So Terry Riley, he tweeted, Ballina beat star-studded Brafey tonight in the championship. If you ever want a lesson in human spirit, here's a thread explaining the contrary nature of Irish people. Ballina have been struggling for years. Brafey rang the club before their county final loss last year to tell them they'd rather play someone in a challenge than Ballina in the league. Their view was that they needed a higher standard of opposition ahead of the final. Ballina were missing a few lads through injury and only had 17 players available. That was bad enough, but they wanted the points too. Now Ballina might have been struggling for years for a while, but that was a red rag. For 12 months that has been discussed in the town. Tonight they had their chance for revenge, a sweet one at that. Seamie O'Shea, the Brafey player and Mayo midfielder, he tweeted back, Terry, Ballina were well deserving last night, fair play to them, but I'd suggest you enjoy the win rather than spouting lies about good people in Brafey. I'd expect more from a journalist. Terry, I'd suggest you check your facts first, Seamie. And Seamie came back with, playing fairly fast and loose with the definition of facts, Terry, given that you're relying on hearsay and running with it. Not a good look for a journalist. I wouldn't have brought it up if I didn't know the detail. So that's dirty linen being aired in public.
If Ballina had 12 months to digest something, now Brafey have 12 months to digest this.
Yeah, you can imagine there'll be lads skin and hair flying. And I wonder, a couple of those lads in the county panel next year, will that be mentioned? Do you know, Evan Regan and David Clark, if he stays in there?
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It wasn't.
They might be laughing at the good of it.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. And in fairness, when you were out Seamus' reply, I was expecting maybe they might have had a few jars and would have had a pop back or anything. He didn't really. It was very measured as well. In fairness.
Yeah. Kerry Championship, Dr. Crokes, they very much battered Ratmore 326 to 212.
Sorry, no, that's an outrageous score as well.
It's a hurling score.
Yeah, the best compliment you can pay to Dr. Crokes is that they're like a good hurling side.
Gooch didn't feature at all.
And that's the same. It was the same last year, and I was down at the Munster final last year.
But he didn't come on, so he might actually be injured.
Yeah, but the scores they put up, I know Corofin beat them well in the All-Ireland final, but it's almost like Corofin are 1, Crokes are 2, and then it's the rest.
Yeah, it's a bit like Dublin in Gaelic football, Corofin. Yeah. Now, and obviously this is a bad example because Kerry took Dublin to a replay, but it does feel like Corofin are just so supreme, and we will come to them and how they're true once again. Their unbeaten record in Galway is insane. Tony Brosnan hit 111, 110 from play for Crokes.
110 against Ratmore, who are a good side.
No, they didn't have Paul Murphy. I didn't see Aidan O'Mahony's name down at all, and I know he's involved in coaching a team in probably Cork, so I don't know if that played a part that he had a clash of fixtures. So that's Dr. Crokes. That's the first round of the Kerry Championship. Cairns O'Reilly beat Kenmare Shamrocks 215 to 117. The winner came from Garrod Savage, so he was introduced for the black card at Con Barrett just 3 minutes earlier. Now this was the last kick of the game, 5th minute of injury time or something, and once again the black card is rewarding a team. So the only reason this guy Garrod Savage was on the field at that particular time is because of a black card. So you'd imagine that Kenmare were going down the other end, and a cynical foul was needed to stop them scoring, and the cynical foul allowed a substitution that ended up in a winner the other end. So
it's definitely I talked about this last week with someone. It's like people within the GA are unbelievable, and the Dubs are the best at it, of using rules or change of rules or things to their advantage. Basically, a rule is brought in the GA, and smart managers, smart players, smart teams look at it and say, okay, how can we exploit this as best possible? It's like Pat McEnany was on the Sunday game live before the All-Ireland football final, and he said there was 78 pitch incursions by the Mayor and Forna in the drawn game.
Yeah.
It's basically like there's no rule there to prevent them. So they're going out there, Tommy Griffin's out with his hands up, Jason Sherlock is out with his hands up, and until something is brought in, if a rule brought in, and I'm sure they'll come up with some creative way around it when that rule is brought in. But it's so smart. I love that, because it's analysing what we have. Are we making the most of this rule? Is there more we can get out of? How can we maximise different things? And teams are doing that. And the black card is a perfect example. Brought in for one reason, being used for another reason.
But it's even like VAR in the Premier League at the moment. You have to think of the unintended consequences of something like this. Like, the excitement has nearly been drained out of the Premier League at the moment. You watch a game and who was it? Azpilicueta scored for Chelsea over the weekend. It goes off celebrating, blowing the kisses, all that, full Joe Brolly mode, and then it's brought back a couple of minutes later, and you're like,
yeah.
It was for like in the build-up, one of the players was offside, and again, it's the unintended consequences here. As I said many times before, the only way to punish a team is on the scoreboard. If you do a cynical foul, I think this would be my way: a free on the 14 with only 2 people allowed in, so it's guaranteed point, and possibly you're even putting yourself at risk for a goal. I think a penalty is slightly too harsh, but a free out of the hands from the 14, hey, you'll stop that pretty quickly.
The scoreboard is the only way to punish indiscretions like that.
Even look at American football, which I watch all the time. If you do, like, let's say, a late hit on a quarterback, and I might have the rules mixed up, but something like this, late hit on the passer, then, and let's say you're on the 50-yard line, it's half the distance to goal, so it's brought up to 25. It's something really punitive, and you need that to stop, because this idea, it's happened again, and Cairns are laughing. Cairns Rally are laughing.
See the advantage rule that's brought in now, so the 5 seconds, right? So what some teams are doing now is they're fouling a fella, and the arm is up for the advantage, and some teams are being clever about it. They're even thinking at the time, they're thinking, this lad mightn't score, I might let him off, I might let the 5 seconds go, and then he hits it wide or drops it short. If he puts it over, fair enough, but if he doesn't, no free, ball back up the other end. And teams have been smart about it now. That's why I think maybe going towards the rugby rule and letting it go till the end of the play and then bringing it back regardless. Because if an advantage is an advantage, it should still be an advantage. And the players don't know that it's an advantage as well. I don't know whether the referee should shout to them or do something, I don't know.
You have to think of the unintended consequences again. Let's say I'm fouling you and I just let it go, and the free is going to be brought back, but in the meantime I hit you a box into the jaw.
Yeah.
It's gone backwards for the free, so me doing the violent conduct afterwards was in a part of the game that is now no longer relevant.
Yeah.
I just always
I know what you mean.
But also what you were saying about a guy's in possession who won't score. You hear some teams on the field shouting, give us the free, we want the free, as in don't let the advantage go.
Yeah.
And like, can you sort of in a situation, you get fouled and you see the arm go up, can you as the player with the ball just turn and stop and just say, like, you could get buried at the shoulder then if the ref is saying advantage, but could you just stop?
You can do, and you probably should, yeah.
The other match we'll look at in Kerry, Paul Ganey against Kieran Donaghy, Dingle 12 points, Austin Stack 6, so that was comfortable enough. Cork football quarter-final, Douglas beat Ballincollig 112 to 9 points. Conor Russell scored 1-3. Shane Kingston, the footballer, had a chest infection, still scored 3 points, 1-3. Owen Cadigan shut down Paddy Kelly. I think everyone remembers Paddy Kelly was that Cork football team. Brilliant footballer. So next weekend Douglas will have a semi-final with either the champions St Finbars or Nemo Rangers who clash next week. Newcestown had an easy win over Illan Rovers, 110 to 4 points. Corofin, 42 games unbeaten in Galway.
That's unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say teams over there, they put football out of other teams' heads, other clubs' heads down there, because they're like, the starting point to even be competitive is so high. Would you even be bothered?
It's almost like Corofin are like one of these super clubs now.
Yeah.
They're going to be so hard beaten.
And they'll say we're a small rural club, but they have a huge catchment area and a big population to pick from, as far as I know.
It's
there
hard.
are a few schools to pick from, you know.
I find it hard you can't drag against them just because of the way they play the game.
And I'm not. It's just the reality too. And people say this about different big clubs, including Coola, Kilmacud, Crokes, Ballyboden and all those, that have big picks. But there are plenty of rural clubs that have big picks also. So let's not just say...
No, they would have a big catchment area, to be fair, yeah. But like, they're a phenomenal side. They play football the way you want to see football played. It's like watching the Dublin footballers or watching Kerry footballers, or say watching, even as much as I hate to say it, watching Tip hurling. You know what you're going to get. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be the game as, I suppose, as it should be played.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. So they're through to their 13th semi-final in 14 years after beating Mount Bellew Moylock 116 to 110. Ian Burke with the goal, and it's the 6th year in a row that they've knocked Mount Bellew Moylock out.
That's sick.
Yeah,
that is sick.
Yeah.
There was a horse one time, Celebration. It was beaten by. Have you heard of Frankel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was beaten by Frankel. I'm gonna say 8 times. So he was the second best horse in the world. He eventually went to a different distance that Frankel wasn't racing at and won a couple of Group 1s. Like, that's basically, if Mount Bellew Moylock were just able to like go into another championship or something like that, they'd probably have a couple to their name. It's sick, like.
So next up, the next bit of fodder for Corofin is going to be Salthill and Knocknacarra. So Grode Armstrong, brother of Sean, he scored a late winner against Clare Galway, 13 points to 1-9. Tuam Stars and Moy Cullen will be in the other semi-final. Tuam have won the most titles, 25, but they haven't won it since 1994. And Moy Cullen beat St. Michael's. So there was a tweet from David Connor saying 12-man Moy Cullen defeat 13-man St. Michael's in a tempestuous affair.
I'd say he's probably underselling it.
Yeah, I think so. You know, when you're a local journalist, you can't go in two-footed and really point out the reality. You just have to say that, we finished with 5
particularly
players.
it's Tuam, like, and David works for the Tuam Herald, like, he has to be very careful.
Westmeath Championship, St. Lomans of Mullingar and Gary Castle, they're going to be in the final on the 13th of October. Gary Castle beat Mullingar Shamrocks, who are the champions, 1-9 to 6 points. So Doran Hart scored a goal in the second half, just after Mullingar had Dennis Caroon sent off on a second yellow card, and Lomans had a scare against the Downs, but they won 112 to 11. So John O'Mahony's over them. Or sorry, was over
the Downs,
over the Downs, yeah. So
like Lomans were beaten last year. Lomans, like, famously, remember, they were in complete control in the Leinster Club final
against St. Vincent's?
Yeah, maybe 2 years ago.
Did Gerard Brennan get sent off in that game? Or am I talking about one about 4 or 5 years ago?
I think you're talking about one 4 or 5 years ago. It was 2 years ago. Moorfield beat them. Remember, they were up, but they were well up. In one of the great comebacks. Great comebacks / great collapses or whatever. But Lomans are like talent laden, like star-studded team, beaten last year, and they're bouncing back as they should. They'd be heavy enough favourites for that final.
Paul Sherry generally does a lot of the damage. The Tyrone quarter-final, so the champions Coal Island, they beat Killyclogher 214 to 18. That was a repeat of last year's final, fairly comprehensive. Trillick, who have the Donnellys, they beat Clono, I should say, 211 to 19.
And the Brennans as well.
Yeah, actually, it's a savage team. Peter Hart hit 1-5 for Errigal Kieran, beating Oma 213 to 110. For Mana Championship, you can't beat this now. Derry Connolly win the 5 in a row. I think everyone expected that against Rosslea. But Kevin Cassidy, 44 years of age, scored a beautiful point. I think you can find it somewhere on social media if you go looking for it. Made his debut for the team in May 1993.
Ah, lads.
Huh?
Lads, 26 years ago.
That's incredible. Like, 44 years of age. And I saw an interview with him from about a year or two ago, and he was like, great way to fit and stay fit. Enjoys the crack, enjoys playing football. Why wouldn't you stay going as long as you can?
I would kill. He's obviously has a body that doesn't pick up injuries that much. I'd absolutely kill to be like that. I'll be hanging on in a couple of years if I'm lucky. But I love that about the club. Like, there's all these great stories. Like, we'll move on to the Donegal Championship in a minute, and you have Declan Bonner playing for Narossa at 54.
Yeah, well, look, let's just jump straight onto it. Yeah,
that's phenomenal. Like that, like he doesn't have to still be playing football. No. He's a Donegal manager. He'd be off looking at matches, relaxing, kicking his feet up, maybe doing a bit of club coaching during the summer or in the winter or whatever. No, he's kicking ball with his junior club and putting them through to a Donegal quarter final at 54.
54 years of age.
It's phenomenal going. It really is. I actually reported on a match in London before, and the guy's name, I think his name was Mick Dignam. I'll tag him on Twitter. He was 63. He came on corner forward in a pair of tracksuit bottoms. Like, I love all that stuff with the club. Like, even you had like Dahi Regan and Johnny Pinkin that came on for us in the junior game 2 years ago. Like, well past their best. Sorry boys, well past their best. Like, it's just great. Like, the lads will just keep. Like, Kevin Cassidy's doing it at senior level, which is phenomenal, but then you have other lads who are still doing it at junior or whatever level. Without being smart, it's purely just to help out the club. That's it, really.
And there are some lads who just have the smarts, and they're still effective if you get the ball to them. Now, they're not going to get to the ball, but if you can get it to them.
Like, look at Mickey Linden. Mickey Linden's still flying. You see that the sidestep and the score there a couple of months ago. It's savage, like.
So let's look at the other games in Donegal. So Guido or Guidiver, they advanced to the quarterfinals with a 2-19 to 7-point win over Ardra. Oren McNeilish and Nisha O'Beill are the goal scorers. So Jesus, Donegal, Declan Bonnerby looking to get McNeilish back. Glen Swilly, they're out on points difference. This is through the group stages, so Glen Finn are through instead of them. Moving on to the Down Championship, Kilcoo beat Byrne in a replay. So I was watching some of this, and Donal O'Hare had scored a nice goal in the first half, and I thought, geez, the Byrne are in great shape here. But a tweet from Oren Crumley said, 2 late goals have secured victory for Mickey Moran's Kilcoo against Byrne in the replay. Just a reminder that the Derry champions playing the Down champions in the Ulster opener potential subplot. So that'd be huge. Mickey Moran coming up against Schlockneil.
That's right,
who we managed before. So they're on a collision course as things stand.
Schlockneil had a good win at the weekend. That was, as you said a couple of weeks ago, the de facto county final kind of. I know it's a long way out, but against Ballinderry did a right good win against them.
Yeah.
Again, Stung having not won last year as well.
And Banagher had again, according to Cara O'Kane, the journalist up there.
And someone replied to him just after us, they said, you can't bet Banagher. That bet's Banagher.
And Banagher bets the devil. That's what our teacher used to say. Relegated without winning a game in the league, as far as I know. They beat Balahi 2 weeks ago, and now they've put Swatra out of the Derry Football Championship. 1 game from a first final in generation. It would be some story. It would indeed. Carlo, awful conditions over there now. Palatine beat Rathvilly 11 points to 9, but a load of other games just called off.
Brutal. I looked at Turlock O'Brien had a tweet, and he actually had a video. That's great when you can actually see it. It's one thing having words and imagine what it's like. We had a video, and the first 10 seconds they were all just soloing with the ball, and you're like, this isn't too bad. And then someone like hand passed the ball and it spills, and like rather than the ball travelling 10 yards across, it just stops. Yeah. And I think they were intermediate semi-finals or quarterfinals.
Yeah, they were off as well.
And they were abandoned. Like it's mad. It's mad.